Welcome to Why I Love Cinema. Again, I'm your host, Kyle Goethe, and this episode we are going to be talking about Alita Battle Angel. I know, you guys, we talked about Speed Racer once. We've discussed the live action, anime hybrid kind of a thing. But this is one for me that I thought there's so many ways this movie could suck. And I was so very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it. So, we're going to break down really quick, the 5 reasons why I love this movie. Of course, I have a lot more than that, but I'm not going to have time to get into more than 5 reasons why I love this movie. Then maybe finish off with some fun trivia about it too. So, Alita Battle Angel had about a 16-year gestation period from the time it was announced to the time we actually got the movie. Went through not a whole lot of different hands, really. I mean, James Cameron was pretty much attached to the project in some way, shape, or form for a bulk of of the time that it was around. And it wasn't until very recently when he became more interested, I guess, in the Avatar sequels than doing Alita Battle Angel, and the film got passed off to Robert Rodriguez, which I thought was an odd choice. I mean, Rodriguez had worked on films like Sin City, so he'd done kind of the comic book adaptation kind of thing, and he had done it in a very stylized way. He'd also done some effects work, but most of his stuff was done on a pretty low budget, and this was a pretty massive undertaking. So something just didn't really click with why pick Robert Rodriguez. But I've enjoyed most of his movies. I like El Mariachi, Desperado. I enjoy The Faculty for what it is. The first Spy Kids isn't all that bad. From Dusk Till Dawn, Sin City, he's done some good work, some considerably good work. I think more wins than losses. And it's definitely not a kids movie. I think where he fails is when he tries to make family films. I just don't think overall he's a family director. And I'd rather see him do something stylized and wild. And so really, I guess it comes down to, it wasn't a bad choice to pick him for the film, but it's an odd one to me. So for those of you who don't know it, the film is set in the distant future, and Dr. Dyson Ito, played by Christoph Waltz, is searching the scrapyard for parts, and he ends up finding a advanced cyborg like heart and brain and face and head that he fashions into a living cyborg unit again. He fixes it up and gets it ready to go, and he nicknames her Alita after his departed child. So Alita, played by Rosa Salazar, in a CG live action hybrid performance. It's basically, she's coming to terms with what it means to be human. She doesn't remember anything about her past except for the occasional flash. She meets a boy. There's a little bit of an attraction there. But she also, too, starts to learn that she may not be just a normal cybernetic being. She may have a much more important past and a much more important future than what she's originally thought she was going to be involved with. And it's kind of her struggle to understand who she is, find a purpose. There's a lot of losslessness to the narrative. It's Alita very much looking for her purpose. And trying to, I guess, reconcile the many forces that are kind of against themselves where she's living. So, yeah, it kind of boils down to there's a lot going on. There's a lot of setup. The film was originally intended to be a trilogy, but we get to see a lot of elements, including Motorball, which was a big part of the anime, and then the hunter-warrior lifestyle of hunting down, basically. It's kind of like a reverse Blade Runner, which is, I guess in a lot of ways Blade Runner 2049 also did too. Is that she's a cybernetic organism then who's going to be hunting down lawbreakers with the other like human cybernetic people. And basically, yeah, the film, it just kind of covers all that and the different forces coming together. I don't want to get into too much of the mystery about where Alita comes from and kind of what her purpose is, but definitely a film worth checking out. So let's cover the reasons why I love Alita Battle Angel. We'll start with number 1. Simply enough, Rosa Salazar's CG enhanced performance. So we all remember seeing the trailer for Alita Battle Angel, and I think I won't be alone in saying I thought the eye thing looked really weird. It was interesting to me, but the Rosa Salazar, she's an incredibly emotive actress. I've really enjoyed some of the stuff I've seen with Rosa Salazar, but she hasn't really been at the forefront. And I think just adding a CG frame over her face, I was like, oh, you're going to lose all that performance. I mean, we've seen Gollum, we've seen the King Kong performance by Andy Serkis. Like, we've seen these people that can really rock that CG enhanced performance. I just hadn't seen her do that before. Wasn't sure how the tech was going to work, and I really thought the eyes would be distracting. You get over it extremely quick in the movie. I would say within the first 10 minutes, you forget that she's a CG face, and you just get sucked into it. And Rosa Salazar just knocks this role out of the park because she is required in a lot of ways to play a child. You know, she's in a somewhat adult body, a teenager kind of, youth body, but like she's very much a child. She's got a lot of wonder and a lot of heart, and she loves everything that she experiences. Her first moment of eating chocolate is really powerful for her. But she is in a lot of ways very childish, and there is a dreamlike innocence to the way Rosa Salazar plays the character, and part of it is, again, having those big doe eyes where she can kind of look at you. Kind of reminds me of the cat from the Shrek movies, where it's just like she's going to kind of see into your soul with her eyes, and I think that really ends up working well into her favor. There's also, just some of the like mannerisms and facial expressions that she makes. There's this kind of like biting her lower lip, kind of like with fascination every time she gets like into something she's really excited about. I think it works really well. She's got this childlike innocence that just really, really maps out for the part. I can't wait to see more from this actress, and I do hope that she gets more due, because I think, again, like, this film is very underseen. We didn't really talk about the reasons why it chose it. I mean, the film barely broke even, maybe even turned a slight profit, but it should have made a lot more, I think. It just kind of released at a bad time. It also held just barely above a fresh rating, 61% on Rotten Tomatoes. But overall, like, it's just a very underseen movie for when it came out. But that was reason number one why I love the film, Rosa Salazar's CG-enhanced performance. Reason number two why I love it, I think the world building is extremely strong, and it's kind of comparison to like what we had with Speed Racer, where like the world building is very, very strong here. We get a lot of exposition, but it never felt to me like over-exposition. It always feels like, it kept my interest with what it was describing, what the screenplay was giving us, and it very, very rarely did it feel chunky exposition at all. It was just very interesting to me. But it wasn't just that the world building is really strong in the film, it's that it leaves room to grow. We still don't really understand the world of the future by the end of that film. Everything that's in the film makes sense, but we don't really understand all of it. It's a very small story in a lot of ways. It's really, it's following one character on the streets trying to, find a purpose, but there's so much more to this world that I feel like we haven't delved into yet. And I didn't read a lot of the anime, so I can't speak to, or not the anime, the manga I didn't read at all. And I don't really have a whole lot of information going into it. I just found the idea very, very interesting. And again, it's one of those things where like the story is so old that a lot of films have taken things from Alita Battle Angel as its source material. And so the film in some ways kind of feels derivative of things we've seen before, but those things actually derive most of their, information and world building from Alita Battle Angel, the actual like source material. So when it comes down to it, like, the world building that leaves room to grow, this film was intended to be going somewhere else. It wasn't supposed to be a one-off, although it just may be. But I think like another film down the road could have explored a lot more things going on in this world, and a lot more elements that we didn't get to see here this time around. Reason number three why I love Alita Battle Angel, Motorball. I would love to live in a world where we get to watch Motorball. Again, it reminded me a lot of like the Speed Racer aspect of things, but like the world that Motorball, which is kind of basically looks like it's kind of like rollerball in a lot of ways, but the idea of this like sport, this futuristic sport that really does play off the fact that people are adding parts to themselves, and like there's an uncomfortability to some of the way that these people look because they've just enhanced their bodies so much. But it's a very interesting sport. It's a very interesting element where people are, kind of like when we see baseball and we hear the stories about doping in sports and using drugs to make yourself better. This is an inverse of that, where like you're encouraged to make yourself the best that you can be because people want to watch you play. And if you if you win enough matches, you get to go up to the next like level, this big city in the sky where all the rich people are and all the money's being had and the fun is, and like Motorball just seems like, again, like it seems like that dream for the people, the lower people who want to try and make something more of themselves. So Motorball as a sport is kind of cool, and then like the sequences in which they are done, and we'll talk a little bit about, you know, the way that it was done, but like one of the Motorball sequences in the film, Rodriguez chose to shoot it as if it was a NASCAR race. So he highlighted like NASCAR-like angles of what Motorball would be doing. Makes it feel very cinematic, but also very down to earth at times too. It's a really compelling set of sequences when we get them, and they add a lot of style to the film, but they also add a lot of good solid action that's very fun to watch. All right, reason number 4 why I love Alita Battle Angel is, again, like just similar to Speed Racer, the living cartoon, you know, the manga anime style translated to live action is really strong. Now, this one is a little bit less so than Speed Racer in terms of like, you know, Speed Racer was done pretty much in front of a green screen. This film did have a few sets, but mostly, again, green screen work. And the characters, it's a little bit less silly cartoonish than Speed Racer was. It's a little bit more serious. It takes itself a little bit more down a, I don't want to say realistic path, because it's not really realistic at times, but like goes down a path of taking itself seriously and really believing in the world it's built. You know, it's a very tangible feeling that you get watching this film. But the living anime manga style that is personified in the world of Alita is really, really strong. Again, it just looks like you could pause any one of the moments in the film and feel like you're looking at a really gorgeous painting. The things are just, you know, all the elements, the sets design, the costume design just feels lived in. It feels, you know, if Speed Racer is like Star Trek because it's glossy and you know, and clean, then, you know, Alita Battle Angel is more Star Wars, where it's like the dirtiness of the future, and like, you know, and things don't really look clean. They don't look well processed. You know, people are put together with parts, and it's that element of the world building that we mentioned earlier, mixed with like a really great artistic touch that, you know, James Cameron goes all in when he tries to create a world, and he did write the screenplay with Leita Kalogridis, and I think like that screenplay that they put together sets it up for it, but then Robert Rodriguez knocked it out of the park with some of the design work and with the team that he had assembled with Cameron to create this world works really well with the living anime style. And you got to know that some of that probably came from Rodriguez's work on Sin City. He had to film things with just actors on a stage for the most part and then build the world around them. That's not an easy thing to do, especially if one of your characters is like partial CG performance. You have to really work around a lot of things, and the fact that I never felt it was silly really works to its benefit. So that's reason number 4. Reason number 5, and it's the sad reason I got to mention, it leaves you wanting more. This was definitely supposed to be the first part of a trilogy, and we probably won't get those other 2 parts, and it breaks my heart whenever it's tough to call this an original film, but it is a property that's not extremely well known, at least in America. It's too bad, because people always talk about, where's the original film? Everything's a sequel nowadays. But then when an original movie comes out, y'all don't see it. We've talked about that before with things like The Nice Guys. Y'all just don't go see the movies when they come out. And then you ask, where's the original content? Why haven't we tried things like this? And I thought Alita Battle Angel might have a chance to succeed. I thought the trailers gave it a flair that kind of felt like Fifth Element. That kind of felt, well, unfortunately, maybe Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which didn't do very well either. But it kind of had this like silliness to the trailer, strangeness maybe, that I thought could have helped the film. And then I feel like, you know, getting some good reviews. I mean, it did get, again, more positive than negative reviews. I thought that would help it out, but it just didn't perform very well. And the way this film is set up, I didn't feel like it was. It's kind of like a partial origin where, like, you know that it's supposed to go somewhere with the next film, but it also feels like it could stand on its own. Where it leaves us off is a comfortable ending to the first part of a trilogy. but you know that they wanted to do more with it. And I think the original series was like 9 volumes. This covers like the first 4, which, relatively, being the first third or so of the story. I think it left me wanting to see more. I'm upset we're not going to get more films. And part of that too is, it came out at the time where maybe if Fox wasn't owned by Disney at this point, they might have tried to move it, because again, the film turned a slight profit, but Disney, they have too many IPs. They're not going to pick one that's not a tried and tested brand. That's the reason we haven't gotten a third Tron movie. They pulled the third Tron movie off the table years ago because they said, we only have so many slots every year to throw movies out. Why would we do a Tron when we can just do another Marvel movie? When we can just do another live action adaptation of an animated film, or another Star Wars movie? These tried and true brands that are almost guaranteed to print money. So you're not going to get maybe that. But I do want to see another one, and I like that people have organized online, and every once in a while I see a Make Alita 2 happen hashtag on Twitter, and I take part in it. So yeah, there you have it. There are my 5 reasons why I love Alita Battle Angel. This is one where I am willing to accept that there are some flaws with this movie, even though I love the film without it. Kian Johnson, who's cast as kind of the love interest for Alita. I try not to do a lot of disrespect. He's not good in the movie. He's just not a good fit for it. Maybe he hasn't worked enough with, kind of like the green screen world building kind of stuff, but he just does not have the enthusiasm, the drive to really keep my interest. And I wanted him out of the film. I just didn't think that subplot worked at all. And part of it was just because I didn't think his performance was on point. That being all said, though, I think the rest of the film was quite riveting and quite entertaining, and I want to see where it goes next. So let's talk 5 reasons real quick. Rosa Salazar's CG enhanced performance. Number 2, the world building that leaves room to grow. Number 3, Motorball. Those sequences are like the coolest sequences of last year. Number 4, the living anime manga style that is adopted and really spread throughout the film. It feels like it's jumping off the page at you like a Sin City or like a Speed Racer was. And number 5, it leaves you wanting more. This was one of my top films of the year last year, and probably my most underrated film of 2019. And I really think you should check it out if you haven't had a chance to. Hey guys, let's do a little bit of fun trivia for you, okay? And we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, boom. All right, so the second Motorball sequence, as we said before, actually was inspired by NASCAR races. The film was announced in 2003 and finally came out in 2019, which took a 16-year-long driving force behind James Cameron. Some scenes were actually recreated based on the Battle Angel anime from 1993. The film actually contains over 1,500 VFX shots, which is a staggering amount, but then you realize that they had to build the backgrounds, they had to build the characters. The movie features 2 Bond villains in Rick Yoon and Christoph Waltz. James Cameron actually planned for Alita to be a trilogy, whereas Robert Rodriguez actually was inspired to start being a director after seeing Escape from New York in the theater when he was a child. There's only 7 actors in the history of the Oscars that have won 2 Oscars with 2 nominations. 2 of those actors are actually in this movie, Christoph Waltz and Mahershala Ali. Ed Skrein and Kian Johnson, who were both in this film, actually reappeared later on in 2019 in the film Midway. There you have it, guys. There's my 60 seconds of fun trivia. I have more, but I'm going to keep it down to 60 seconds here. So I want to know your thoughts on the film. Have you seen Alita? Comment below. Let me know. Did you really hate it? Am I just crazy for thinking it's a great movie? Let me know. I'm interested in your thoughts. Or if you agree with me, I want to know. I want to have that Alita army battle ready for when we can try and get that sequel off the ground. If you guys like this video, please give us a like. It really helps the channel out. Consider checking out our Patreon, patreon.com/KyleNickOnFilm. You can join the different tiers there, and hey, in a couple weeks we got new episodes of Kyle and Nick on Film. Season 2 is back on track, and we're going to get you some more content coming up very soon here. Very excited about it on our end. But you can help influence some of the films that we talk about with the rest of this season for 2020 by joining that Patreon. We'd be very excited to have you join and help give input. But if you can't join because money's tight and things are going on in the world, we get it. What we want to see from you then is help support the channel with things like likes, comments. You see that subscription? There's a little subscribe tab down there. Go ahead and click the subscribe tab. That way you always have a notification when we get these new episodes out to you every Monday from the Kyle and Nick on Film YouTube channel. Hey, you can also even share us on the social medias. We know you have a social media. Why waste it with little pictures of cute little cats and dogs? Well, okay, you can share your cute little cats and dogs, but then afterwards share this video as well. We'd be more than happy to have you join the conversation, because that's what the show is really all about. The Why I Love Cinema series, the Kyle and Nick on Film episodes, they're about spreading our love of movies and getting that conversation going. So go ahead and share this video. We'd love to have you a part of it. Thank you all for joining me, guys. My name is Kyle Goethe. You can find my film reviews on goatfilmreviews.com. You can check out my other YouTube channel, the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at AlmightyGoatman. That's going to do it for us, guys. We'll see you next time.